In East Africa, one of the most famous destinations that you're going to visit is Kenya. There's so much wildlife around Kenya, and there's so many different parks and game reserves for you to experience it. But whereabouts should you go?
When I first went to Africa, I had an idea of what Africa would look like, and landing in Kenya was the first time I saw that landscape realised. Kenya is the Lion King section. It's the Africa we've seen in documentaries and movies for years and years.
The Masai Mara is the most famous. In the southwest-hand corner, bordering Tanzania and the Serengeti, the Masai Mara Game Reserve is home to one of the greatest wildlife spectacles on Earth, the wildebeest migration. During particular times of year, the migration moves up from the Serengeti into the Masai Mara and for a few months travels across the plains.
The migration does move throughout the two countries of Kenya and Tanzania, but the migration we know of is Kenya. It's the wildebeest crossing the rivers, the zebras, the gazelles, the lions, the cheetahs, the hyenas, and this great mass of animal life moving through their daily lives and the struggle that comes with it. This is why people go to the Masai Mara. This is why it's one of the premier areas to visit in Africa.
Now, one of the great activities you can also do when you're in the Masai Mara is a hot air balloon trip. So very first thing in the morning, you'll wake up early, you'll go to the launch site of your balloon, you'll watch the balloon be inflated, and then jump into the basket. And then for an hour, you'll drift across the plains of the Masai Mara. And it's at this time you can see the wildlife beneath you and just float silently across the plains. And then one of the best parts of the hot air balloon trip is when you come to a landing and then you have that wonderful champagne breakfast right in the middle of the bush. Now, there's so many different parks in Kenya that you can join together to create your safari. Typically, you'll have an 8-day safari, maybe longer, 12, 14 days. And it's during this time that you may combine the Masai Mara with somewhere like Lake Nakuru National Park or Lake Naivasha. Lake Nakuru National Park is home to a major abundance of wildlife, with rhinos, with elephants, all types there. And there's some properties you can stay at within the park, then other properties close by. When you combine Lake Naivasha or Lake Nakuru, you could end up heading further north to places like Samburu Game Reserve or Shaba. But often people tend to head south of Nairobi to somewhere called Amboseli National Park. Now, Amboseli is famous for its concentrations of elephant. And of course, it has the incredible backdrop of Mount Kilimanjaro in the distance. You can stay at properties close to the park or within the park itself that offer you fantastic views of the mountain as Mount Kilimanjaro shows its peak as the clouds remove.
Of course, entering into Kenya will be through the capital city. It would be Nairobi. Now, Nairobi often is just an overnight stay for a lot of people, but there is a lot of really interesting things to do in Nairobi. The most famous, of course, being Giraffe Manor. Now, Giraffe Manor is about waking up in the morning, heading down for your breakfast, and having a giraffe lean in the window and share that breakfast with you. Taking away the giraffes and the warthogs, it's still a wonderful way to spend a morning, an afternoon, or a wonderful night in Nairobi. But once you put the giraffes and the warthogs back into it, it's a memorable experience that you or your clients will never forget. Nearby, of course, is Sheldrick's Elephant Orphanage. Now, this is where they rescue elephants who have fallen into trouble either from poaching or accidents and rehabilitate and raise these orphaned baby elephants. And it's amazing to see the work that goes into protecting these animals that they love so dearly.
So Nairobi is not just an overnight stay. You have plenty of experiences you can enjoy whilst you're there, and combine that with the Mara, the Nakurus, the Samburu National Parks, as well as Amboseli. You can also head out to the coast towards Mombasa, visiting the famous Tsavo East and Tsavo West National Parks. All in all, there's a great abundance of game parks, wildlife, for you really to enjoy your Kenyan safari experience.